I am Chester Dunham, and this is the Dunham Report, a marketplace of information for labor, civil rights, and other issues of social justice. I am Dunham, and the host of the show, and my co-host is Mr. Wesley Crenshaw, who is absent tonight, but you, the viewing audience, we still have a good show for you tonight. As you can see on my right and on my left, we have two beautiful young ladies on the show, and I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves, and then we will get into the show. Desiree, you want to go first, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
My name is Desiree Priest. I am a political science major at Savannah State University, and I love and enjoy working with Mr. Dunham as well as Beverlee Trotter, Savannah U City.
Good evening. My name is Beverlee Trotter. I'm the director of Savannah U City as well. I am an entrepreneur, a business owner. I love being here today with the Dunham Report. I'm very, very ready.
Very good. We are going to start out the show tonight, and again, I'm delighted to have both of you on the show with us tonight, and give me some ideas. Watch out, Crenshaw, that further down the road we're going to be having a lot of guests hosting and co-hosting with us in the future. Bev, what I want you to do, you are a well-known person, well-known individual. You know, I'm going to mention this because Antoine Lang was supposed to have been here tonight also. And I thought about this, and if he was here, if he do show up, the first time I met you, Ann Lang was I think it was at my church or something, but it was a special program, and you all was involved in the program. I don't know whether host, co-host, but anyway, you all was at a part to play in it. And that's when I first met y'all and was talking to both of you all, and I was going to mention that tonight while we are on the show. But anyway, aside from that, tell the viewing audience, and I know a lot of folks out there who are watching the show now know who you are, seeing you so many times, but tell us a little bit, or tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about myself. I'm a student. I'm the director of Savannah U City. I'm a mother, the mother of one son. I am married, and I'm an activist. I'm an activist for right, for change, for social justice. I'm here today because I want to participate in that process and helping educate our community as to what we can do as a people, as a unit, to help our community.
Very good. Des.
Again, like I said, I am a political science major at Savannah State University. I'm kind of young, so I'm not really a wife, a mother, or anything like that just yet. But I enjoy just being a young adult. I enjoy hanging out with people that's my age, my peers, maybe a little bit younger, like the teenagers, because they keep me on my toes a little bit. They remind me that I'm getting a little bit old. I enjoy
very good. Very good. Yeah. Moving right into the show, what we would like to do is to for a matter of fact, we're going to talk about a lot of different things tonight that is so important. You know, a lot of folks ask me sometime, and you was asking me earlier about, because you was worrying about whether the show was going to be partisan or non-partisan. And I said, the show itself, the Dunham Report, can be partisan or non-partisan. But when I talk about various things,
right,
a topic or subject or this or that, it could be partisan or non-partisan. Now, you are involved in a lot of non-partisan stuff. We're going to talk about some of those things. And I am also, because the A. Philip Randolph Institute, which is, I'm the president of the local chapter here, which is a national organization, and it is, a lot of people don't know all of the bolts and nuts and what makes it click and all of this sort of thing. The Randolph Institute is similar to the NAACP, the Urban League, and a lot of other different organizations, which is nonpartisan. And Mr. Randolph himself organized and decided to, he and Bayard Rustin put this institute together. I mean, organize it and put it all together. He think in terms of both ways, partisan and nonpartisan. This organization here, the Institute, I can show you some papers over there, but anyway, the Institute itself, it's a part of labor. The AFL-CIO. Labor is a partisan group, partisan. But the Randolph Institute, and along with 5 or 6 other groups, is nonpartisan that do nonpartisan stuff within the labor movement. They involve in political, get out to vote, voter registration, and that is one of the few little things they do, voter education, and get out to vote drive. Now the key thing, and I tell people this all the time, the key thing is voter education. We know, and we ask people every day about registering, try to register them day in and day out, especially young kids and what have you. We try to get them all registered and make sure that they are out to the poll on election day and to be involved in voting. But voter education is the key thing. If an individual understood, if they come to a class or workshop or what have you, and you start dealing with teaching them about voting, that's voter education. Once they know that, they wouldn't have to worry about registering. They'll be out there trying to register other folks. And the same thing goes for getting people to the poll. Now you take this young lady right here. I can ask myself or either somebody else with the age gap about why should I vote, or why it's so important for me to register or be involved in the political arena. The political arena, it involves every individual. I don't care who it is. You just mentioned a few minutes ago on this show that you have a son. Well, he cannot vote yet, but the voting process involved him so much. Even when he was born, you didn't know he existed until he got that birth certificate. And the same thing would be a death certificate. All of these things wrapped into one. So what the Institute does, and what the NAACP and all of these other things, they deal with political education. They don't go out and tell people who to vote for, how to vote, and this and that. They figure if they do a good enough job in educating people, then they will know what to do, how to make up their mind up, and all of this sort of thing. Coming right back to you, I ask a lot of kids who are involved in college and university and going to school and this and that, the importance of voting. Number one, key things that helps. Right now, your future is out there involving the education system. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you got to make sure that those universities and colleges and all of these schools, high schools, that it's out there and ready to make sure that it stays open, that everything is due to you supposed to be, you're supposed to get it. So you want to make sure that when you vote for somebody, it's going to be not one of those negative person out there who in the world talking about closing doors of colleges and taking away money and this sort of stuff, when they should be out there trying to making sure that those doors are open up and that the monies and stuff become available and make it easier for people to go to school and this sort of thing, because that's their future. That's your future. So that's key point for you to rally behind in dealing with voter. That's just one thing, but anyway, voter education. That's all. Bev, you want to say something before because we're going to talk some more on that before we leave that.
You just gave us a whole class. I mean, you just did the whole class right here. But that's good because, you know, some of the younger people that will see this need to know that. They needed that explanation to be able to define what each organization does. You know, what is nonpartisan, what is partisan. That's a good thing. But I will say, even the young people that are out there, unfortunately, not all of them are going to vote. You know, and fewer young people don't understand how they can influence the way things are around them when it comes to social justice, school, mass incarceration, anything that can directly affect them. You know, voting is that opportunity to change that whole dynamic. And we have to get young people involved. They represent 50%.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I just got a call 4 or 5 days ago from a lady in Miami-Dade, down in Miami, and asked me to give me some numbers of a person. I just thought it was one person at first, but it ended up being two individuals, two parents or two mothers, that their kid is incarcerated right here in the state of Georgia. They was at one prison, and I think they arrested something like 22 at one time. Now these are young men, young black, and they took them to one prison, and now they are at another prison, which is Ridgeville, I think, state prison now. And I'm still working with this, trying to get in touch with the warden and some other individual, because these kids, I mean, they're being treated the wrong way right now. They are incarcerated and they are being locked down. They are being, all different type of things are happening to them. Nobody on the inside, you know, looking out for them. They are reaching out to people on the outside, the mother and this sort of thing. One of the kids had a bullet or something a few years ago, and they can't even remove it from his skull or somewhere in his head. They can't remove it until maybe later. So therefore, he has to be treated a special way, which he is not being treated a special way. So what's happening now is all different type of things are happening to these kids. Just those two, because I talked to two parents. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to do all I can. For a matter of fact, I'm going to try to reach their attorneys. Each one of them got different attorneys, so I'm going to talk with them, and then I'm going to, she's going to talk with the warden and these other things, and assist in whatever way we can do. Now, this I will not basically go with the Dunham Report. I can do that, but I will use the A. Philip Randolph Institute, because it's a nonpartisan, it's all these other kind of different things, and that will help more, I think, with the Randolph, as being a leader of the Randolph Institute. So this type of thing that affect people,
absolutely,
this voting process and all of this kind of thing, and the way these youth are being treated. We got youth and blacks all over the United States. Every day it's popping up with somebody being shot, and not shot just accidentally, but being murdered. And these things have to be stopped. We can't sit around idle by. Now that's one thing I do with the show and everything else. I don't play with that. I ain't sit by, idle by, and watch things and don't do anything about it, because it's a lot of things has to be done within the system dealing with the way people are being treated.
And young people have to know, and their parents, you have the power to directly influence the way things are being held, and it's done by your vote. We got to vote people in that are going to have our best interests. We got to vote people in that are going to
share the same values that you do.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important for the candidate that I select to embody the same values that I have, which is family, education, financial literacy, such things of that nature.
And I think we do need to get young people. They represent 50%, you know, and the millennials represent the millennials, and the baby boomers represent the majority of the voting process. We got to get young people to the polls.
I went to was in the store today, Walmart. And I went in and I got some electrical equipment and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the young man who waited on me is a young guy. And I had a shirt or something on, but voting. And he looked at me and he said, "That's so important." I said, "You almost made my day for a young man just to say how important this is." And you are correct. And I gave him one of my cards, and he showed me a card that he is a student at one of the universities, and he knows the importance of voting and this sort of stuff. And it's like you said, he's out there rallying and standing behind to get people to vote and this sort of stuff. And this is what we need. And I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure in this midterm election here, I hope it will go down in history as one of the elections that might be the greatest turnout, and especially for young kids, in the history of the United States.
I believe that's going to happen.
I believe it can happen. Now, what we have done is came back from that conference the other day in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did, we had about 1,000 people or more at the conference. At the conference, every year, they have a special, and I want to, once all of this is processed, then I'm going to start showing it on the show. People will be able to see it. For the last 5 years, we rally youth. In other words, the Institute sponsors from at least 150 or more students every year to the A. Philip Randolph National Conference. The other day was 125, I think. My son was one of them there too. Antonio, he was there. And but that's what happened. So what they are there for is dealing with the Institute, dealing with all the stuff that we are talking about now, the importance of voting and all of these things. Now, one of the highlights of this whole conference, and we're going to talk about that directly, was female. They said this is the year of black female. Said this is the year. And they started talking about election, that primaries and things that already had been won different places leading up to the large election all over the United States and a lot of different states that we are pulling off elections, and it's being led by black female. They talk about the state of Georgia a great deal. And they are talking about the state of Georgia. They are talking about the state of Georgia that might be a state, and we're hoping it would be, that we might be able to elect a black female governor of a state. It is no female governor of any state within the United States. And if we can pull this off in the state of Georgia, it'll be a marvelous, a magnificent thing. Now, one thing is that not only the governor position,
mm-hmm.
but it is other elections that's happening now. What we have done, and especially what the Institute have done, we deal again with political education. We have sit down and we have been in workshops and all of this kind of stuff. Take the information from what these people will give you, their literature, what they plan to do, what they would do if they get elected. And those are key things. Nobody put words or institute or we or self-endorse or either tell Abram or either tell this girl Lisa or anybody else. They do it themselves. This is their platform and what they want to do. So now it's a possibility that, see, some funny thing about the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia has a statewide position. We don't have no elected statewide seats, a position that somebody hold like governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of treasury, agriculture, all the key positions. No Democrat, whether you're white, black, male, or female in the state of Georgia, and this has been happening for the last I don't know how long, no position, no Democrat. So we hope that we will, because I'm a Democrat, so we hope that he will change that this particular term in the midterm election. If this happened, and a lot of folks are on the lead right here in the state, in the first district, where Buddy Carter is our representative for the congressperson. He represents us in D.C. Representation ain't good. His record ain't good at all. So definitely, Lisa, she done been on the show, but that's who I'm supporting. Not because she is I like her over Carter. Carter record is just different. He's a second coming of my good friend, Jack Kingston. So that's what I'm talking about. This is what we're talking about. So if these folks sell themselves and the thing that they're doing, then the people would look at this and we'll see how the outcome will be. What you think about the upcoming election? How you feel about it?
Again, I think that we are excited. I'm gonna speak for my age group.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna start off with 18 because that's the age we're allowed to start voting. So I'm gonna go from 18 to about 25.
Okay.
That's okay.
Help yourself.
And I think that we're excited about this upcoming election. There are positions that are open that I think has a direct impact on us. The governor, of course, has a direct impact on us, especially as far as being a college student. When they talk about taking away certain fundings, when they're talking about, it's already allowed for guns to be open campus. So that's some issues that we are directly paying attention to and directly thinking about. So we really are open about this, and I believe that for my age group from 18 to 25, this will be one of the most important elections we've been able to participate in. And I'm not going to say it's probably going to be similar to what we've seen back in 2008 with the Obama election as far as the turnout or the hype of it, but I think it can be kind of similar to it or close to it, where it's a lot more people being more aware and attentive, especially with the past presidential election that we just had about 2 years ago. So I think a lot of people are being able to open up a little bit and pay attention to politics a little bit more, and also paying attention to what's going on in their city locally. So
I think we're gonna top it. Obama's race that he had. I think we're gonna top it in this midterm election. One thing is that, and I want to ask you this right off the bat, and that is because it affects you all the time, and that is guns in school. What you think about this?
I disagree with that. I don't think that guns should be allowed on anything where you actually come to school and learn. That's I disagree with it. I don't want to sit in classroom and I see someone with a weapon openly.
What you think about that?
What do I think about the election, the upcoming election?
You can talk about all of that, but I mean right now, the gun, and then you can go on and talk about that.
What I think about guns?
In school.
Well, of course, I'm against guns in school.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you got the President of the United States, you got all governors, you got all these other Congress people and everything. That's what we're talking about, political education. That you can check their record. I'm talking about their record and see what they stand for.
That's right. And I'm talking about getting young people out and getting them involved in the voting process, whoever that is that you choose to vote for. You spoke about women, particularly black women. I just want to talk about women. We didn't even earn the right to vote until 1920, after, the men earned the right to vote. So that's something, we need to think about when we're talking about these women that are running for these offices that have never been held by a woman or a Democratic, Republican, or anybody ever in the history of voting. So that's something we should think about when we're talking about putting women out to vote. And young people need to get involved when it comes to changing the dynamics for what they think is important in their lives. So not particularly, I'm interested in really going back and forth of who I'm going to vote for, but what I am going to say is, young people, if you can hear us, you can see us, get involved. You represent a very large proportion of voters. You need to vote. Millennials, get out and vote. women get out and vote?
Black, and that's why I use the word. I don't discriminate
Right.
on black or white, but I deal with facts. Black women on the record
That's right.
already done prove
The suffrage
their
movement.
leadership position and what they have done and what they are doing so far as winning position, winning seats, different places. Done prove it where whites support them as well as their own color, because they are speaking up and they're doing things and they ain't shying around. The key thing is this. You just mentioned a few minutes ago about white women just received their right to vote in 19.
No, black women. Black women. We earned the right to vote in
No, I'm
1920.
talking about period.
Okay, women.
The
All
women
right.
just received the right to vote in
20.
Close to 20, right around in there, but during that right period of time is when they received that right. The great Frederick Douglass, way back in 1866, about somewhere in there, when they was fighting so hard for the right for men to vote. And eventually they won that. If you go back to the 13th Amendment, when after freeing of slaves and all of this is when the process started. But the key thing was that they came to Douglass, female white, and was trying to get his support so far as helping them enabling them to vote. And he support them and said we trying to get ways to make sure that we are able to vote. But they understood the importance of voting during that time.
That's right.
And that's what I can't understand, why it's so hard for us sometimes to figure out this thing when they did it then. In the state of Carolina, eventually made more headway for electing people locally and sending them to Washington. They sent so many people from the state of Carolina, and the reason for that, if you study the history, that was a state that dealt with a lot of slaves within that state. The population or something of that state might have been one of the key states in population-wise of black, male, during that time. So they used that and started going to Washington and making rules, making laws, and all of this sort of stuff. They did it so well until it puzzled the white male. It did. And they had to try to do something about it. That's why they came up with all these things about grandfather clause and
Right.
bars of soap and all this other kind of thing, because they understood and they knew the importance. And that's what they did. Now, what puzzled the heck out of me, and I've said this on this show and I've said this many times, what puzzled me the other day is here's a man who is the president of the United States now. And he talk about white female like dog. That's a fact, it's on record. And they still voted for him 65%, 64-65%, somewhere along in there, white female. I can't figure that out yet. Maybe some of y'all might be able to figure it out. I've talked to one of them. I got a lot of, and said, they just might say, well, I didn't. I said, well, I'm just saying,
Somebody ain't telling the truth, right?
That's right.
If they say I did.
That's right.
I can't really speak on that. They
No, I know.
did
I
happen.
just brought it up. That's all.
We're interested. Let's get these women out to vote. Let's get these young people out to vote. Let's change things. Let's do something different. We could spend a lot of time talking about it, you know.
I think it was a blueprint. Well, I said blueprint, but I think it was a learning experience for just about every genre, every race, every age group. Like I said, I think that the age group that I'm in definitely paid attention to that election, and we want something different. I think that's what it is. We want to be more involved, more active, and want to learn about what each candidate brings to the table. And again, I'm all about voting for someone who shares my values.
And how do we get your age group out? How do we get more 18 to 25 out?
Well, that's the thing.
Very good.
It's all about engaging us, really.
Exactly.
It's not all about. I mean, we're gonna say we're gonna say that I'm involved in the community. One of the biggest things about that is making sure that I'm talking about my community, and I don't see how not speaking about the voting process can be exiled out of what we say when we're saying we work with the community. If you're gonna come to me and you say I'm all about my community, I want to hear you talk to me about local politics. I want to hear you talk to me about who's running for this, who's running for that. I want to know what's going on. What's going to affect me not only right now, but what's going to affect me in the next 4 years, the next 6 years, whatever that term may be.
And the community has to be involved with the young people.
Right.
We want the young people to be dedicated and involved in the community. The community has to be involved in their young people. They have to know what's going on.
Yes.
You know, what do you need? How can we help you be stronger? The community has a responsibility to do that. And if we want young people to come out and vote and participate in their community, we have to include them in that process. We have to do more than talk about what they're not doing and more of talking about what they are doing, the positive side of it, you know, and get them to the polls. Because they can make a difference.
And then that's when you share with me the history of something that you may have gone through about
Randolph and
Philip runoff and things like that. Why do we fight so hard to vote? Why do we push it so much? Why is it important to not only you, but important to me, my ancestors? Why?
I just came from a meeting just before I got here on the east side. And it's a neighborhood association meeting. And Ben Clark was over there, and that's because I go to their meetings sometime because I got property and stuff over there, so I go over there too. And they was talking, and those the big so concerned, those folks tonight, elderly people, but so concerned, and they're saying some of the same thing about, again, everybody is talking about youth, and we can get them, more of them involved, and it's no type of thing. I hear a lot of folks sometimes holler, they don't want to include the young, and that's one of the biggest tale they can ever tell. You're just trying to figure out ways how to do it, how to invite them, how to get them more involved, you know. And these are things that we are still trying to work on.
We work for youth all the time.
Right, but you know, these are things because they need help.
And what we found out is that the older generation, the baby boomers, they more or less talk at young people. They talk at them, and it's either a direction or it's nothing else, you know, because that dialogue doesn't happen. It's pretty much a direct hit. So we want young people to be engaged. We want the baby boomers to be able to connect to the millennials. And the only way that's going to happen is through dialogue, conversation, through acts, through love, through support. It's not going to happen no other way. We could talk till we blue in the face about getting young people to the polls, and I believe that it can happen.
Well, I still say it can happen.
Yeah,
I will never give up on it's not happening.
But each party has to be
you know,
respected in their place, young and as well as the old.
I think that churches should be involved even more. I don't think they put enough effort into they don't do enough so far, you know, because they are the backbone. They're one of the key pillars of this thing.
Well, I think black church, well, not black, but I think churches, the faith-based community does a wonderful job. This past summer, we experienced the churches stepping out and doing something that has never been done. When the city and other places said no to the young inner city kids playing basketball on Friday nights in the summer and getting off the corners, the faith-based community, Savannah Pastor Alliance, they said we can do this. So not only did they pay for it, they provide the transportation, the food. And I think a lot of people that are saying the churches are not really involved in doing what they should be are people that don't normally go to church.
We're still not doing enough.
We could do more.
We can do more. Hell, I'm
We
a
can do
member
more.
of the church and really involved in my church and the stuff that we're talking about right now, and talk about that kind of stuff. And we not involved enough.
I think your church is a great church. We're always at your church. We didn't see you at the basketball game at the church.
All right, I'm telling people I wear so many hats and this and that. They just,
No, but that's where the young people was at now. You said you want to engage these young people.
You know, they might be to something else and I'm somewhere else.
The movie nights and you know those young people be there now. You gotta come on and
they might. I go to I'm involved in so much stuff.
well, you gotta make some time for them young people. They are the future.
I'm involved with young people.
They are the future, Mr. Dunham.
Everywhere. I even just take my show here and do some things. I ain't gonna do a whole lot more.
That's
that
beautiful.
Will enhance or either help a great deal more than reaching out to so many youth and young folks and stuff like that. Get them involved a great deal, and we're gonna be doing stuff like that.
Well, what do you mean by getting youth involved? Because we have some young people that got some serious conditions. They got some serious issues that can vote.
What I'm talking about is I'm not talking about the youth who are already involved. A portion of them involved, but let's just talk about 100 youth, and I'm just using that figure.
Right.
100 youth, and if you got 10% out of that 100. And you say, oh, we did good. So that group over there, so many of them went to this. That's true, but that group, where's the other 90%? That's what I'm talking about.
They waiting for you, Mr. Dunham, to come to them and ask them, how can I help you, sir? What you need? Do you need a ride to the poll? Do you even know how to fill out that paperwork to get registered to vote? They need you to do that. That's what they're waiting on. That's what these young people waiting on. They're waiting on you.
Tell the viewing audience that I do that. That's all I do. So I tell the viewing, while you're talking to them right now, you're on the show, you're on the TV, the viewing audience right out there right now.
The viewing audience. Young people are waiting on you. They're waiting on you to come to them. They got questions. Am I eligible to vote? What if I'm already registered? How can I vote? What can I apply to vote? Where's the paper? Where's the office? Can I vote by mail? How do you do this? What age you have to be? They have questions. So we can't always assume that the young people know, because again, they're young. We have to train them to do what they need to do for the future. And we can't assume that they already know this. There's a lot of young people out there, and they're just waiting on you, Mr. Dunham, the viewers, and all of you out there watching the Dunham Report. What say you?
Okay, let's talk about voting right now and some new rules and new things that's opened up, and some avenues and some gates have opened up that a lot of people don't even know about.
Yes, sir.
They don't pay that much attention to it. So what we want to do is try to involve some of them with some literature and stuff that we got now. And let's just say Georgia vote by mail. Let's look at this situation. I was looking at this, but the hotline and all the other kind of things. Vote by mail. Question: what is Georgia's vote by mail question? In other words, what is the situation with Georgia vote by mail, and how does it work?
That's called voting by absentee or absentee ballot. It works by you submit your application or absentee ballot in your local board or your local county board. So for us, that'll be Chatham County. For most of viewers and listeners.
Very good. Is voting by mail safe?
It's absolutely 100% safe. It's very safe.
I'm glad to hear you say that. What if I'm not registered to vote in Georgia?
That is an important question. The deadline the last day for you to register to vote is October the 9th. And if you don't know where to go at, you can go to the voters page. That is, I'm going to have to go ahead and say it. It's https www.mvp.sos.ga.gov, and right there it's going to ask you a series of questions, and then that way you'll be able to register to vote, and hopefully you get your voting card in the mail soon. And
suppose somebody comes to you and say, well, okay, all of this you're telling me, where can I find an application or one of those to vote by mail?
Oh, so if you want to find your application to vote by mail, what you can do is go to your county registrar's office. For us here in Chatham County, I believe that's on Eisenhower.
Well, do I need a special reason to pretend permission to vote?
No, you do not.
Special reason?
You don't need a special reason to obtain permission to vote. Your reason is I gotta do this.
You gotta do this.
My family counting on me, my sister, children, my classmates, Mr. Dunham counting on me to do
Mr. Dunham
this.
is counting on you to vote.
No.
That's right.
All right, Belle, keep on.
I don't even have a sheet, Mr. Dunham. What? You see? We could do this. So where does a vote? Go ahead.
When can a voter request absentee ballot or a ballot to vote?
You can request that ballot within 180 days before the election.
A whole 180 days?
Yes.
180 days. Plenty time. Really no excuse, right, Mr. Dunham?
That's right.
There's
6
no
months.
excuse. Who can request an absentee ballot?
Everyone.
Does a voter have to put a stamp on the absentee ballot application?
No, you do not.
No, you don't.
That's the one thing you don't have to buy a stamp for.
So let me ask you this. If a voter can't drive to the post office, can someone mail in the application for them?
No, I'm going off of my answer. Just going on top of my head. I believe you cannot.
Yes, you can.
By mail?
And that's something we're going to add. Yes, you can.
Oh, I'm a young person. I did not know that.
Form and you want to mail it in, you can't get there, whatever is going on with you at the house, children acting up, whatever's going on, I can take that for you if it's sealed.
Okay, long as it's sealed and enclosed. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna let my grandmother know that.
Yeah.
All of that's good information.
How about convicted felons? Can they vote?
You just took the word out of my mouth.
No, I didn't. Let me give it back to you. Go ahead.
Okay. Convicted. It's according to what you're convicted for. If it's a minor offense or what have you, that's another thing that you need to know, because a lot of time it get people mixed up, telling me what type of penalty or what they was put in jail for. Like right now, we may have a lot of folks that's sitting in jail right now that can vote, and they'll think because they're in jail and this and that, hadn't been convicted of anything, that they can go and vote. And then other individuals who have been convicted have served their time, their penalty and everything else, and they can seek back again to the voter registrar's office and make sure that their name is clear and everything else. They can vote, because states are different. Some states and Georgia is one of those states that can go back and it's very few things in your record with the state of Georgia, once you had been served your penalty, your time, and all of this, that they you were able to go back and participate in the voting process or the voting arena. Now, it's a lot of states that they have laws that zip. You've been involved with one of those crime or what have you, and they take your voting rights away from you, period.
Right.
So you're saying if you are a convicted felon and you've been removed from the public square, you are off of parole and probation in the state of Georgia, you can vote.
Immediately.
You can vote. Matter of fact,
you can go ahead and start registering, re-register yourself. You have to register first.
You have to register.
I'm sure there, but please do register.
Call us for a ride, and we're gonna take you there, because that's how you change. That's how you change things, by voting. You know, you change things. You change the way you're being treated when it comes to the masses of the people. It's your vote, and if you don't have anything else, you have your vote.
Right.
You have that vote. Don't take it for granted.
The state of Georgia, not only the state of Georgia, on record that they have in each state, basically, most of those states are, as we talk about color-wise, red and blue, most of those states are blue states. But recently, in the last few years, 10 years or more, those states have been voting red when they are blue states. What do you all think that we can do more about it to change those the population of those states, or either to make the people, because a lot of those folks sit home and don't vote, don't be involved in the voting process, and this sort of stuff. How can we change this situation here? And it's not by partisan or non-partisan. It's just by education. And the key thing is that if you study the map and you study people and how they vote, and you look and see you're voting, most of these people, a lot of them are voting for the enemy. They're voting for people who are doing a disservice to them. And so what you all think that we might can do? That's exactly what happens every day.
Right.
So it happens every day.
I think you can only build with what you have. I think that if you educate people in their place, because we're all not in the same place. And you're right, education has a lot to do with it too, but if I can see where it's benefiting me, where I can see the people that was in my neighborhood last week asking for my vote is gonna come back, is gonna come and see about me and my family, that they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do, I might vote, but I'm not gonna just vote on the standard you must vote. That's the process, I think, that some people are thinking. And if we know that, then we go in a different approach. I think that we're using the same approach over and over again. It doesn't work, so why do we keep doing it? Let people get involved in their own, space. Teach them, educate them, take them to the poll. Don't assume that they know how to do it. They're gonna do it on their own. Encourage them and be more of a help. And we can change the state. We could turn this thing blue again we could do it.
I was looking at the state of Georgia, and I hadn't had a chance because I read all of this stuff yet, but it's a lot of stuff here to read. But this is the record on the 2018 legislative summary. The election, they just got through it. It was signed into law by Governor Nathan Deal. They call it Bill HB 159. And I'm thinking, I hadn't looked at the 159, but I'm thinking that because it's 159 counties, that's probably why they adopted and called it 159. But and they was gonna most of this, the legislative part in this particular portion right here, what the governor signed, was done in 2017, but they eventually, Democrats and Republicans, didn't come together, didn't like some of the language and stuff that they had. So eventually they got together the other day and they passed it, and the governor signed this bill into law. Now, I noticed part of this bill, as you go on and start reading it, you talk about government control. This is Senate Bill 418, and this particular portion of this bill, which sought to override the authority of local government to ban certain requirement, regarding about certain things that the federal government did. Now, and then this is two portions of this bill. I got to study it some more to understand it better, which is SB 363 was aimed to forcing the city of Atlanta to reduce their polling hours. Now, I wanted to talk about that because the bill itself, that they made some changes. This portion of this particular bill, they made some changes. The Senate, this is SB, which is the Senate, they had agreed, I guess in this right here, they agreed to this. The House version didn't agree. And one of the key things, because the federal government now, it seemed like it was coming and interfering in various states' right about doing certain things that they were already voted in that particular county or what have you to do. Like in the Atlanta, inner city Atlanta, polling hours. Well, this is something that they already had in place about how the poll would be open and the polling hours and all of this sort of stuff. This particular bill here, if it had passed, if the House didn't block it, this wouldn't have come. In other words, the governor would have been able to sign it because this particular portion of this bill, the House blocked it. And that's because, again, coming in, interfering. In the city of Atlanta, I do know that, like we have some places here, where certain hours are on the weekend or church hours or something that you can vote, certain things that you can do with this particular bill that they adopted in Atlanta. And they have it right here. They impact the ability of African American churches to hold soul to poll Sunday voting event. That's unique. To hold soul to poll Sunday voting event. So that's what they, like we do here. On Sunday, a certain time, they are able to go to the poll. Leave church and go and vote and this sort of thing. Well, the Senate bill wanted to knock that out and what have you. That's interfering. But anyway, they did a good job on this. I'm gonna find out from Senator Jackson when I have him on when we talk. That's his crew over here. And I didn't know. I know he probably didn't vote with this crew, but anyway, it's in here, and we're gonna talk more about it. But those are key things. How they do things and how they mix things. What they do is they come back and they tell you. Somebody, if you question them about it, let's just say one of your representatives, or state senator, or either a state house representative who represents you. And you say, well, what about Senate Bill 363? I see where you voted on that. And why did you vote on that, or one of those type of things? And if he knew then that this bill would probably was not to your liking or one of those type of things, then he will come with some other kind of phony stuff to sell you on the reason why he voted on it, or he might say that he didn't vote it on, or one of those type of things. They do that a great deal. They do that all the time, and you got to watch them with that. They wouldn't go. They go down here and tell you about all these other things right here about. Now, somebody who on that particular side who voted against it will say, well, the reason I voted against it because of what it will do right here to these folks here, and this sort of thing, and the voting process and these sort of things. So that's why you have to notice and watch all of these things. And all through this bill here, you notice it, everything that's why it's so important. All of the stuff right here is what they voted on. 96 issues is what they voted, and they got them listed down there, every one of them. So now that's voter education.
Absolutely. So how can we get this out for individuals who don't have the ability to print that out, don't have access to a computer, can't go to get that? That's another way to put information to give to our young people and our millennials and baby boomers and people that need to vote and be involved.
That's right. We got to start here. We can do some things that go through this stuff right here with some of the youngsters and come on the show and talk about certain bills and how it would affect you. And we got some education bills in here. They got bills in here dealing with education, 3 or 4 different ones. Because I look at some of them. All this, everything that affects you, it's in here, and it's all over.
Everything.
I mean, not everything, but most everything. Even talk about barbershop and all.
Oh wow! So we're gonna dissect that.
Business code, everything else.
Okay, well that's good stuff.
We got a few minutes, not much, but I want to make sure that I'm gonna let you take us out. But before we get to you, I'm gonna let the young lady said how she enjoyed the show and what she wanted to say to the viewing audience. And pretty soon we get her back here with some youth and talking about some things.
Awesome. This is my first time with the Dunham Report, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you for having me, Mr. Chester Dunham. I appreciate the warm welcome. And one of the things that I guess that I would have to say that we can all work on, no matter what the age group is, we have to get out there and show up and vote. That's in every age group. And for the ones who are experienced voters, I encourage you to help us out. The younger ones who may be their first time voter, or even their second or third time voting. Let's just enjoy the process together. Let's learn who's out there, who is running for office, what they stand for, how do they plan to help us, how do they plan to help the majority, how do they plan to help the minority as well. Just learn what each candidate is all about, what they stand for, what they represent, what their interests are, and do they share the same values? I can't stress that enough. Do they share the same values as you do?
Thank you very much. All right, Bev, you take us on.
Justice is never given. It is exalted, and the struggle has to continue. For freedom is never a final fact, but a continuing, evolving process to higher and higher levels of human, social, economic, political, and religious relationships. Thank you, Mr. Dunham, for having us. Greatly enjoyed it. It's a wealth of education.
Listening audience, you have been listening to the Dunham Report, where you, the community, come first, keeping a focus on the future. See you next week.